The quarter-final stage of the Water Polo Champions Round is getting closer to the end, and every game now has a bigger importance. Welcome to the highlights of the Water Polo Champions League Round 4. In Group A, Pro Recco and Novi Beograd are through the group after both managed to get an away win. It's a different story in Group B. There is a new leader. After 33 consecutive wins, Ferencváros is stopped in Piraeus by an ironclad Olympiacos defence. Barceloneta doesn't give up. They are back in contention after a convincing win in Brescia. In the fourth round of Group B, Brescia met Barceloneta. It was a match between the last two teams. Brescia was the only one without points, and Barceloneta had only one win, so both needed a triumph to preserve their chances of reaching the Final Four. For this reason, a much more even match was expected, especially when we know that Brescia entered the match encouraged by winning the Italian Cup and the victory against Pro Recco. However, that did not happen. The tie was only the beginning. Barceloneta took the lead after 2.5 minutes with a nice lob from Munarith. Brescia responded a minute later with a goal by Giannazza from a central position. The first, and what turned out to be the last lead for the Italians, was brought by Irving with a shot from the outside position in the next attack. The Spaniards equalised through Sanuja a minute and a half before the end of the first quarter from a goal from the counter. And the lead after the first 8 minutes was brought by Bustos with an extra player. In the second quarter came the first separation of Elvis Fatovic's team when a little more than 3 minutes before the end, Peroni used a 5-metre shot. Soon, Balzarini with an extra player reduced the score to 3-5, and it was the beginning of a series of home team without a goal that continued for the next 15 minutes. Already by half-time, the guests had a +4 with a wonderful goal by Sanuja a second before the end. Barceloneta's streak didn't stop there. They were even better in the third quarter. They scored via Taul with an extra player, and Pavia, who was left completely alone at the second post. The guests had already secured the victory, but they still didn't stop. They gained the biggest advantage in the middle of the last quarter when Sanuja scored another goal. With that, he ended the Barceloneta series of 7-0. All that Alessandro Boio's team managed to do until the end was to reduce the score a little. An incredible 15 minutes without a goal was interrupted by Renzuto. And until the end, Giannazza also joined the scorers with an extra player. He was the only double scorer at Brescia, while Munarith scored 4 for Barceloneta. With this defeat, Brescia definitely dropped out of the race for the Final Four, and Barceloneta increased their chances with the win. In the fifth round on the 3rd of May, the Italians visit Ferencváros, while Barceloneta welcomes Olympiacos. There was only one team that hadn't tasted defeat throughout this season, not in Europe, not in the domestic pools. The leaders of the Group B after the first phase, Ferencváros, travelled to Piraeus to try and maintain the unbeaten run, which would practically secure them the place at the Final Four stage. But it didn't go as well as it was planned. Olympiacos had a night to remember as the host had the lead for almost 21 minutes of the game. That secured them 3 points and a huge boost for their Final Four chances. It all started off with plenty of balls lost, chances missed, and only 2 goals. The first one almost at half point of the first quarter, and in what manner? After the block, The ball was practically gifted to Gilard Jancic, who capitalised on the home side's error in a one-on-one situation with Marko Bijac. The Croatian goalkeeper couldn't prevent the first goal for the Fradi. After every single shot denied, be it by hitting the post 2 times or having the opponent player blocking the ball, the Greek team found the way to Sommervogel's net from 6 metres with only 46 seconds to go. Konstantinos Genidonias with his powerful shot cut right through the heart of the Hungarian defence, and it was 1-1. The tough battle in the pool continued throughout the second quarter. Eduardo de Sommer's foul awarded the home side with a chance to take the lead once again, and they sure did. Marton Vamos with a calm and composed shot from 5 metres to make it 2-1. The Fradi didn't trail by 1 goal for long. An extra player shot from another lefty, Dusan Mandic, and the score was even once again. But after that goal, it was all Olympiakos. A great run of 3-0 for the Greek side, with 2 6-metre goals from Nikolaos Yikias and Vamos. And after 16 minutes, it was 5-2. The hosts held on to their lead throughout the third quarter as well, even though Dinis Varga answered with a goal for 5-3 at the beginning of the new period, and Mandic joined along once again with an extra player shot goal. The closest Ferencváros could do was to cut the deficit to just 1 goal. Dimitrios Diamou fired back for another 2-goal advantage for Olympiakos from the left side. That quickly became +3 with Alexandros Papanastasios' performance with an extra man in the pool. With 3 minutes to go before the last quarter, each side found the back of the net one more time. So, the score was set on 8-5 heading into the last period of this exciting game. Stylianos Ariopoulos was left all alone on the right post as the guest side had an extra player. A clever ball by Eduardo de Sommer found him right on time, as it was only a second left to profit from numerical advantage, and against his former club. Chances missed at both sides of the pool before Yikias, top scorer of the game, scored his third. A beautiful lob from the right wing. There was nothing Vogel could do. It was pretty clear who's taking the points at Piraeus, and the only thing left to do for the guest side was to try and ease the pain of this season's first defeat across all competitions, with 2 goals from De Sommer and Gergo Fekete for the final score 10-8 for Olympiakos. "11 days after their triumph in the final match of this season's Premier Regional Water Polo League, Novi Beograd travelled to Split with a very clear agenda: to add 3 more points to their tally. But so did Jadran. The only Croatian club in this competition was still without European points. Speaking of absences, the host was still without Luka Bukic, as well as Markus Berahulak, while the guests couldn't count on Georgia Vucinic. The home side opened the high-scoring affair through Matias Biljaka and Loren Fatovic. We've seen this action with an extra player plenty of times. Juku Marinic Kragic sends a great ball to Biljaka, who then sends it over to the far corner. A great pass from Filip Filipovic found Nikola Jasic. He was left in a one-on-one situation with Ivan Marcelic, and he did not miss. That was just a glimpse of what will come next. Marko Rodilovic for 2-2, Jakšić for the second and the third time. It was a series of 4 consecutive goals for the Serbian club to make it 2-4. Marinic Kragic with a cheeky lob shot from the left side scored for 3-4, the final score of the first period. Alvaro Granados continued giving nightmares to the hosts at the beginning of the second quarter, as he scored his first of the game, but 14th goal in encounters against Jadran. Fatovic then demonstrated what happens when you give him enough time and space. He brings in the precision and cuts it once again to a 1-goal trail, 4-5. Goal after goal continued from both sides, but again we ended the period as we started it, with +2 for the guests, 7-9. And one thing to note is a tough blow for Jadran, as their best scorer Marinej Kragic got an exclusion with substitution. Who's taking the points home? Well, we got an answer in the third quarter. It was a one-man show, with Vlachopolos scoring 3 goals in a row. And it continued being into a one-club show. Radomir Drasovic, Dimitrios Skumpakis make it 14-7 for the Serbian side. And the only goal Jadran scored was with almost a minute and a half before the end of this period. Not much of an excitement when it comes to the last 8 minutes. Konstantin Kharkov scored his first goal of the game at the start of the last quarter. Skumpakis added his second before Josip Verlic scored the final goal of the game, 15-10 for Novi Beograd. Marseille and Pro Recco met in the 4th round of Group A in France. The defending champions went into the game in first place, and Marseille had only 1 win, so they couldn't lose if they wanted to keep their chances in the final 4. In the first mutual meeting, Pro Recco won easily with 15-8. Maybe someone expected that this time it would be an easy task for Sandro Sugno's team, but they were wrong. We had to wait almost 5 minutes for the first goal, and then Kakaris scored for the guests with an extra player. The first goal for the home team was scored by Andrea Pelenovic, also with an extra player, 25 seconds before the end of the first quarter. And when it seemed that the first part would end in a tie, the advantage was brought to Pro Recco by a Halleck screw 4 seconds before the end. Marseille soon came back. In the 3rd minute of the second quarter, Krasiliad scored from the right wing, also with numerical superiority. It was a very even match, no one separated by more than 1 goal difference, so it went to half-time with an even score, 3-3. The French took their first lead immediately in the first attack of the 3rd period of the game, when Manhertz made a 5-metre shot. This advantage did not last long, because in the next attack it was cancelled by De Fulvio, also from a penalty. After that, Marseille kept a 1-goal lead and Pro Recco would come back. In the end, it turned out that Marseille had their last lead a minute before the end of the 3rd quarter, when Bouet scored with an extra player from the left wing. However, they did not go to the break with an advantage, because 20 seconds before the end, Zelanki scored for the guests from the penalty. After a long time, Pro Recco took the lead with a goal by Canella in the 1st minute of the last quarter. A new tie was brought by Krasiliad, using the extra player a little less than 6 minutes before the end. Only after that came the drama. Pro Recco scored 2 goals. The first was scored by Condemi 5 minutes before the end, and immediately in the next attack by Canella. But Marseille did not give up. Already in the next attack, Manhertz reduced it with a nice shot, and just half a minute later, a cheerful Krasiliad returned things to the beginning. The final goal went to the Italians 3 minutes before the end. Centre Halleck scored a beautiful goal from a turn. A minute before the end, De Fulvio finished the job, and the European champion won 3 points after a hard fight. Marseille was led by Krasiliad with 4 goals, while Halleck was most effective at Pro Recco with 3. Already after 4 rounds, it is known that Marseille has dropped out of the fight for the final tournament, and Pro Recco is certainly going to Malta. The only question remaining is whether it will be in 1st or 2nd place. Two more rounds to go in the Water Polo Champions League. Pro Recco and Novi Beograd are qualified for the final 4, and the only thing to decide is who is going first after 6 rounds. In the next round, Pro Recco play Jadran at home, and Novi Beograd is awaiting Marseille. Group B is going to be much more difficult to predict. After the Olympiacos win, the Greeks are first in the group, with Ferencvaros second. The win in Brescia gave Barceloneta a chance to stay in the fight. They are 3 points behind. They have another great test in round 5. A definitive game of the week is Barceloneta against Olympiacos. The Catalans cannot lose if they want to see Malta. That is all for this edition. We'll see you again in 8 days.